2 months after my divorce, her sister showed up at my door. The knock was soft, deliberate, almost hesitant. I hadn't expected anyone, not after 2 months of silence. I was alone, my apartment dimly lit, the rain tapping rhythmically against the glass. I should have ignored it. But something in me, some dangerous curiosity, some half-dead spark of emotion, made me get up. Peering through the peephole, I froze. It was her. Not her, the one who had broken me, but her sister, Elena. 25, dangerous in a quiet way. Sharp green eyes that always seemed to read me like an open book. The sight of her brought a strange warmth, a slow ache I hadn't felt in months. My heart betrayed me. I opened the door, and she didn't speak at first. Her gaze dropped to the floor, hesitant, almost shy, but the curve of her lips hinted at secrets. I need to talk," she whispered, voice trembling. I closed the door behind her, silently analyzing every movement. Something about her felt different, grown, sensual, deliberate. I caught the faint scent of jasmine, or was it her? My mind clouded. I wanted to retreat. My head screamed danger. My body whispered temptation. "I don't even know where to start," she said, finally looking at me, her eyes a storm of fear and something else, something intimate, almost daring. I stayed quiet. I let her speak. And in that silence, I realized nothing about tonight would be ordinary. I hadn't seen her in years, not since the divorce. And yet, there she was, slipping into my apartment as if she belonged. My ex had taken everything, the house, the furniture, my trust. My life had been hollowed out. Elena's presence brought back memories I had buried. Stolen glances during family dinners, casual touches that lingered too long, laughter that felt like a promise. I shook my head. That had been years ago. Innocent, maybe, or dangerous. "You're not mad?" she asked. I wanted to lie, wanted to say no, calm, composed. But anger and curiosity churned together. "Depends," I said, voice low. Her eyes flickered. She knew. She had always known the effect she had. She explained why she was there. My ex, she revealed, had tried to manipulate me even after the divorce. Financial tricks, rumors to ruin my reputation, lies about my supposed negligence. Elena had come to warn me. And maybe, she admitted, her voice barely a whisper, because she had never forgiven me for leaving. It was absurd, dangerous. I felt it, the stirrings of desire, guilt, and resentment. I hated her sister for showing up, but I hated myself more for feeling my chest tighten at her nearness. She leaned against the counter, casually, impossibly, and I noticed the way her blouse clung, the curve of her neck, the softness in her expression that wasn't innocent. It was deliberate, knowing. And then she said the words that shattered the last piece of my composure. "I've always wanted this." I froze. Not because it was wrong, because it was a storm I had no plan for. 2 months of careful living, of silent calculation, and here I was, drawn into a vortex of desire and danger. I watched her, analyzed every gesture, measured the tension in her body. She was nervous, yes, but also experienced, dangerous, magnetic. We sat across from each other, wine glasses clinking softly. She told me about the ex, about the schemes, about the lies. I listened, absorbed, catalogued. My mind never rested. My heart never let me rest either. And then there was the touch. A brush of her hand as she passed me the glass. A subtle shift, a lean closer than necessary. My pulse raced. My mind screamed at me to stop, but my body responded. I began to test her. Small questions, teasing, probing for honesty. Her lips curved in response. A warning, a challenge. I saw through the story she told. Truth, half-truth, seductive deception, but I let her believe she was guiding the conversation. She lingered near the couch. I noticed how her perfume settled into the room, how her hair fell over one shoulder, how her eyes held a quiet heat. My thoughts, once disciplined, began to unravel. And yet, I couldn't act. Not yet. I had to understand her intent. There were no mistakes allowed anymore. Only careful observation, silent strategy, and measured moves. When she finally sat beside me, our knees brushing, I felt a spark that both alarmed and thrilled me. I let my hand hover near hers, just inches away. She looked at me, knowingly, and didn't pull away. My mind raced. Could I trust her? Did she want me, or was this part of the ex's twisted games? Every instinct screamed caution, but every nerve in my body surrender. And then, in the quiet, the rain outside, she whispered, "I've dreamed about you, in ways I shouldn't have." It wasn't just a confession, it was an invitation. I didn't respond. I only let the silence stretch, heavy with tension, charged with danger, and undeniably erotic. Days passed. She returned, unbidden. We talked, drank, and the tension built in ways that neither of us fully admitted. But there was a moment, subtle, unplanned, when her guard slipped. A casual laugh, a hair falling across her shoulder, the curve of her back as she leaned forward. I realized she wasn't just tempting me. She was confessing her desire without words. I had to test it, carefully. I suggested dinner at a private restaurant, just us. She agreed, nervously but willingly. The night was electric. Candlelight flickering across her face, highlighting the depth of her green eyes. Conversation was light, laughter teasing, but every glance, every tilt of her body was charged. After dessert, I walked her home. Silence stretched between us. Not awkward, but weighted with something unsaid. She stopped at her door, a thin line of hesitation. She began, then faltered. I stepped closer. "Don't speak," I whispered. My hand brushed hers. She didn't pull away. And then she finally admitted it. Her lips barely parted. "I've wanted you since before your divorce. I never stopped thinking about you." Everything clicked. Desire, confession, truth. She wasn't here to manipulate me. She was here to claim something forbidden, dangerous, irresistible. The shock of betrayal, the danger of the ex, everything that had consumed my life fell away. Only her remained. And in that moment, I knew the game was over. I didn't need to strike, didn't need to destroy. The ex's schemes had already failed. With Elena's arrival, my strategy was clear. I would take control, quietly, precisely. I leaned close, my lips brushing hers. Her response was immediate, a hand on my chest, pressing, pulling me into her. Every restraint, every careful thought melted. Desire ignited in a dangerous, all-consuming fire. We kissed, slow at first, then urgent, an explosion contained within the walls of my apartment. Every touch, every whisper was charged. Her hands traced patterns over me. My hands returned the favor, exploring, learning, claiming. And yet, through it all, my mind remained alert. Strategy hadn't left me. I knew the ex would attempt to intervene, to manipulate, to lie. But now I had the upper hand. I was untouchable, in control, desired. By someone who had never been mine, but now claimed me with clarity and fire. She gasped against me, the vulnerability and strength in her voice a heady cocktail. I pressed closer, letting the storm of emotion, lust, and revenge merge. "I've waited for this, for you," she whispered. I smiled, coldly triumphant. "And now You have me. No one else could touch us. The past was neutralized. Desire, truth, and strategic victory were ours. Morning came. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets wet, glimmering. Elena was asleep beside me, the rise and fall of her chest a rhythm I had memorized in hours. I reflected. Betrayal, manipulation, anger, they all existed, but their power had ended. I had taken control without violence, without chaos. She stirred, opening her eyes, and smiled, a private victory shared. "You're mine," she whispered. I didn't need to respond. My gaze alone was enough. Calm, controlled, dominant. The past was gone. My ex, her schemes, the lies, they were shadows I had walked past, untouched. And yet, a smile, a touch, a whisper remained. A testament to desire, strategy, and control. I had lost nothing. I had gained everything. Morning came. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets wet, glimmering. Elena was asleep beside me, the rise and fall of her chest a rhythm I had memorized in hours. I reflected. Betrayal, manipulation, anger, they all existed, but their power had ended. I had taken control without violence, without chaos. She stirred, opening her eyes, and smiled, a private victory shared. "You're mine," she whispered. I didn't need to respond. My gaze alone was enough. Calm, controlled, dominant. The past was gone. My ex, her schemes, the lies, they were shadows I had walked past, untouched. And yet, a smile, a touch, a whisper remained. A testament to desire, strategy, and control. I had lost nothing. I had gained everything.
How could you do this?